Here we go. We got Mike Davis in the house. Funny or not enough, we spoke about me actually being on his wife's podcast, which is kind of dope. They're just good people, you know. At the end of the day, I get drawn to people that are just real people. I don't like the fluff. I don't like the overcomplicating of things. Life is complicated enough. You want to surround yourself with people and engage people that are just what you see is what you get, and there's no need to overcomplicate things. And I think that's something that drew my eye and attention right from the get-go. You guys are doing really interesting things. I know you have some background in, being a vet, and I know your wife, and I want to learn more about your background, because I'm not going to stand here and pretend like I know a whole lot about it, but that's exactly why you're here. I want to hear about it. So thank you for coming, Mike.
Yeah, no, Doron, thank you for inviting me and having me on your podcast today. I'm really glad you opened like that, because that is really, when we left Miami at the immersion retreat, Owners Club immersion retreat, I stood up and I said, "Hey, I'm Mike Davis, Rachel's husband. Most of you guys know my wife, because Rachel puts herself out there. She's a hard charger, and she moves fast. I'm still in a W-2. I work for a bank, and I'm a learning strategist with them. And so I've been behind the scenes. I've been building the infrastructure, the systems, the process, and even working to build Rachel's brand itself, to tell story about who she is, right? And then when you're saying I like real people, Rachel's as real as they get. People have not gotten to know who I am because that's been intentional. I've been behind the scenes doing the things that need to happen. And now this year, I'm ready to put myself out there to offer what skill sets I have to this community, because it really clicked in Miami. Like, holy crap, everything I've gone through in my life has given me a skill set that all these crazy entrepreneurs in our community that are just taking action. There's so much they don't understand about how corporate America works, how enterprise level organizations work, and how to structure and all of that. And I was just like, holy crap, I've got a lot of skills that I've not been giving back. And so that's kind of this year is launching Mike Davis into the community of, look, I'm not the biggest real estate investor. I'm not, we do have money out on Lens. I do have PMP out and all of that type of stuff. We plan to get we're starting our goals small this year. I don't know that we should. Maybe we go, but we want to phase into it. We want 4 co-living properties by the end of the year, 1 a quarter, because we got other stuff going on for building active income. So that's kind of where I'm starting. And that's, but as far as, that's a quick intro, I guess, to myself, but that's what's brought me on. And this year I'm ready to get going and help people out.
Yeah, that's amazing. If you don't mind, I would love to start with a little bit of a background, intro about yourself. I would like to ask you to give me a quick overview of your background. I know you kind of like all over the spectrum of things, some of which are not even affiliated, right? Like Army and then banking, real estate. Like, tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah. So I often tell people, like when I've been interviewed before, is I really am a multi-tool. And it's just, I don't want to even say that, because multi-tools can only do like things like, they're not going to be the full screwdriver, right? It's like in a time of need, you got something real quick. I'd say I have a whole tool kit. And that does come from, I retired from the Army in January 2023. I got my start in the airborne infantry, just like Rachel talked about. She jumped out of planes. I did that for a 20-year career. I did have a 5-year break in service, and I got exposed to corporate America. I got exposed to all that was out there. And then I decided I needed to go back to school to credential myself at the time. That's what I thought. And I needed more money for education, because what the Army was offering was only like a 3-year thing, but I needed 4 years. And then I ended up meeting somebody that was in the reserve, and him talking about like that's been helping him, pay for college, all that type of stuff. So I went back into the Army after 5 years break, but I got experience and exposure to how companies are run. I ended up exiting. I was a sales account manager for a software company called GFI Software. Got hired there based off of a plane ride with a mentor of mine. I just had a call with her yesterday. She's been a mentor of mine for 15 years because I just read How to Win Friends and Influence Others, and I applied that on the plane. Funny story, and I know we have limited time, so I won't go into it. But let's just say she was the first person that saw what I had as a skill set and a talent. And then I realized I joined the reserve again, the Army. I went back and I realized I missed it. I missed the camaraderie, but I also saw things different. Before it was just like, oh, the sergeant's just yelling at us, da, 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 but then I went back in there and I'm like, no, I understand the enterprise now because I learned it on the outside. And now I come back in with a different school set and a different, toolkit and a different mentality on how to approach things in the Army. And then I ended up getting selected for Active Guard Reserve and psychological operations. And then I finished my last 6 years of my career at the John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center and School at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So ended up going back to be an instructor, then became a course manager where I learned all about instructional design and learning strategy. And then I ended up essentially helping spearhead a move of two Army companies into one, relocating down to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. So like I had to learn how to build a training facility because Fort Jackson's just for like basic training. I was training psychological operations and civil affairs soldiers. So they needed to train their culminating event in what looked like a real world, like you're getting deployed to a combat theater. So I had to do all the contracting, statement of works, like review all of that. And then COVID hit. So the manufacturer that was going to build all these, essentially towns for us, they got delayed. And so we had to figure out how do we navigate COVID, get this thing up and running, because we're starting our first course here in like 40 days, and there's no way we're going to be up there. So constantly having to be agile. But I learned so much about project management, operations management, learning and design, instructional design. And then if anybody doesn't know what PSYOP is, it's a fancy way to say it wasn't that I was a shrink. It's basically how do we change behavior of our target audiences in foreign countries. That's what PSYOP does. It's marketing for the Army. Well, for the national.
Yeah, why don't you tell us about a little bit about that, about Hurricane Helen in Ukraine. Was it Helen? Right, it was Helen.
What's that? The hurricane?
Yeah, the hurricane.
For PSYOP or for what?
Yeah, I mean, on your going through what you just described, right? You had some Ukraine experience.
Yeah. So when I had left the Army, I had a bridge strategy before I got hired at the bank, and I partnered with a nonprofit organization that was doing work in Ukraine, going and teaching essentially what we would call in the Army combat lifesaver skills. And so I went with a friend of mine, Jess, who was an ER trauma nurse. So she was our main instructor on the stage. But we went to Ukraine, to Lviv, and we went and taught combat lifesaver training to civilians. So as Russia is sending drones in and attacking civilians, we basically were delivering IFAKs, individual first aid kits, and teaching them how to use tourniquets, teaching them to use how to stop the bleeding and all that type of stuff. And then, my friend, so that's Hurricane Helene. My friend Jess also reached out to me because she went immediately out to Western North Carolina, and she was going out to the backwoods of backwoods where all the federal agencies weren't there supporting. And she was going and checking on people and making sure that they were getting the medicine they needed, delivering the insulin. But it was chaos after the hurricane happened. I mean, the amount of flooding and what happened in Lake Lure, all of that. And quite frankly, the thing that was the hardest for me was because of the work we had done over in Ukraine, and we learned how like I operate, and I think in an operations management standpoint, and I think about logistics, and I think about, if we make this decision, what's it going to do in second and third order effects? I'm always thinking out. She's like, the logistics here are chaos, Mike. I wish you were here, but I couldn't, because I'm stuck in my W-2, right? And I'm grateful for a W-2, right? It's keeping food on our plate, or on our family's plates. But my heart was, I wanted to be on the ground helping run operations smoothly so that we could get things quickly, logistically, to the people that needed it the most. And so that's when that spurred for me. I got to figure out how to get out of my W-2 so I have a life that allows me to drop what I'm doing, because I put systems in place that the businesses will run while I step away and go do what my heart and what my skill set can do for others. So, but in the evenings when that was going on, she would call me essentially, and we'd have a download. She'd send me a screenshot of like a whiteboard of all the things that were needed. And so I quickly ran it through like the classes of supply, like we would do in the military. And I categorized things, because she had other people she could send that list to if it was organized, and then they could start tracking what they had received, because people were just sending all kinds of junk out there and they didn't need it. But the stuff they did need, they didn't know where it was, because they didn't know how to communicate it out. So yeah, that's a trip to Ukraine, helping civilians understand how to control bleeding if their neighbors got hit with a drone, led me to knowing my friend Jess, who then, always goes and charges forward. She's an amazing, amazing woman. She was married to a member of the special operations community who is also very well storied and a machine in his own right, and loved them both. But yeah, that's really what got me into this community. It really is.
That's really good stuff. So you mentioned that you went from that type of a background into affordable housing, right? So why don't you just take a second to explain to our audience what is affordable housing, right? I know you do, and then just kind of segue into what it is you're doing in the niche. I know you're doing some grant matching strategies and things like that. So would love to also hear about that right after.
Yeah, the other thing with starting with affordable housing, my plan is big. I don't want to say my plan. What I'd love to see happen. We've got a couple big things coming on in our economy. We know affordable housing is like the immediate need. It's already needed across the nation, right?
Right.
And in the veteran community, we've got people in our space. Chino Montez, he's doing great things in Vegas, helping veterans out, homeless veterans. Rachel and I really think about we want to help the veterans before they become homeless too. But as affordable housing and as service members are transitioning out of the military, they get BAH rate when they're basic allowance for housing while they're in, and when they get out, they lose it, and they don't realize the tax implications, because that benefit was not taxed while they're in the service. Mm-hmm. So now when you go work for corporate America and you transitioned out, you're probably going to be paid less. You're going to be taxed differently. And so now you're squeezed on how much money you can actually afford in a house. So it's great that you served your country, you get out, and now you can't afford the market rate. And so we see that.
Yeah. Environments.
Yep, exactly. So we see that as a threat to service members in the next 5 to 10 years. And so that's step one, is we need to be able to find the ways to affordable housing to try to prevent veterans and their families from ending up homeless and needing Chino's help. We want to be a different stage of the pipeline, but understanding that it is a pipeline. They don't just leave and end up homeless. Something happens along the way through that transition.
I love it. I want to chime in real quick. I speak all the time about taking care of an issue before it becomes a problem, right?
Yep.
Like Chino's dealing with the problem. So you're basically in essence identifying an issue, and you're trying to solve it before it becomes a problem. And I love that, because I live by that, because there's always going to be issues, right? I mean, who has life with no issues, right?
Absolutely.
So I just really love that. But I want to just better understand the thing you said about taxing their benefits. I lost you there. What do you mean taxing their benefits?
So when you're in the service and you receive basic allowance for housing and basic allowance for substance, those two entitlements are not taxed. So at the end of the year, you're making good money while you're in, because your tax rate stays low because you're only getting taxed on your base salary while you're in the military. When you get out and go work for, and let's say you get the equivalent amount of money that you were taking home net and taxed at in the Army. Well, now take that same salary and go into private sector. Well, now you're taxed at you don't have any like entitlements that get special tax privileges. So so that's what compresses your what you can actually afford to live in.
Yeah, so they take 100% of your wage and they say, okay, I mean, we're going to have a certain amount of it being taxed differently towards your, health, or towards this, or towards whatever it is that they allow. And then they go out and they make almost the same money, but the tax is basically across the board the same. Interesting. I don't think anyone's really explaining it so good. Like you just did. So what was not getting the same tax bracket back then? Because the health insurance is provided, right, by the Army?
When you're in, yes, and then if you retire, it's provided. Or if you didn't retire, but your service disability rating through the Veterans Administration, if you reach a certain threshold of percentage of disability, then you qualify for VA healthcare. But it's still, I mean, I know we're a democratic republic as a country here in the United States, and it's wonderful, but understand the VA healthcare system is still a socialist style of healthcare, right? It's the system pays for it. So it comes with all of the constraints that government funded healthcare looks like in other countries, that there's benefits to it. But I've been trying for 3 months to see a rheumatologist.
It's not a political thing, right? Like you take care of the people that serve this country, and no matter what, right? Like I always say, we have two problems in this country: Republicans and Democrats, right? Like, dude, but stop politicizing the shiz out of everything, okay? You just got to take of the people that serve this country. That's it. That's it. So yeah, it just gave me goosebumps, man. Like I am just so fired up about that subject. You don't want to get me started, but
I do because I love talking about it, Doron. Seriously.
Yeah. So tell me about the grant matching strategies to educate our listeners.
Yeah. So that Rachel's taking lead on that one. So she's basically, her background working at a nonprofit, and then also when she worked at AmeriCorps years ago, she actually ran a grant that got a skateboarding park in a Indian reservation, like way back in the day. Like going back to skill sets, like who would have thought that like 21-year-old Rachel living on an Indian reservation in Montana would lead to her getting a grant for a skateboard park that Tony Hawk actually came and like did the inauguration when they opened it. Like, but that now, fast forward 30 years, I didn't just give her age away, did I? Oops, sorry. But no.
Not 21. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But now, understanding this need for affordable housing and how it's coming, understanding that nonprofits don't understand how to communicate and connect to the investor community, she is helping build the model to understand how to pair the two worlds together. Because nonprofits want to think that investors are just dirty investors. Oh, you just want to be rich. You just want to be the tycoon. You want to, you want your own Trump Tower.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, our world has so many impact investors, people that want to do good. They understand the problem that's coming, and government's never going to fix it. It's never the answer. It's never going to fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. People that rely on the government, they're going to keep relying on, trying to rely on it for a long, long time. So what I'm hearing is you try to identify the issue before it becomes a problem and trying to get ahead of it by utilizing grants, some of which are, in my humble opinion, from what you told me, could even be delusional. Like the stuff with the skateboard, like really? Who would have imagined, right? Like it's crazy to me. But how do you, I guess, do that matching of whatever the grants that are available? What's the strategy behind it?
So that's the beauty with modern technology right now and the access to information. Any type of federal appropriated funds for things like affordable housing or offsetting the costs of healthcare and all that stuff is reportable because it's the government's money. It's not the government's money. It's our tax dollars being appropriated to help alleviate some of these issues, right? And so Rachel's basically going out there and scraping data to figure it out. Like where did those dollars go? What didn't actually get committed? What didn't get, actually put in place? Yeah, because they didn't know who to connect with. They're like, okay, we got all this money, but where you didn't build the pipeline to it. So Rachel's trying to build the pipeline right now. So pairing the two worlds of public and private partnerships. And then I'm going to actually be starting to do more of that as well, making the connections with the people in between public and private partnerships. That's what I want to do. I want to create the pipeline so that the right funds can flow to the right people who aren't just doing a money grab from the government, because there's plenty of other bad actors that do that.
Another very hot topic.
I told you I want to get you started.
Forefront of the brain. Well, the only problem with getting me started is it's very hard to get me to stop, because when I'm passionate about something, I'm obsessed with it. It's just what I try to explain to people that want to succeed. You got to get obsessed with it. And I don't mean it in a negative way. That's just the way that success is built. You can't, want to be successful on Monday, Tuesdays, and then you don't want to really put too much work into it, Wednesday, Thursdays, and Friday, and the weekends are here, so I'll circle back next week. You have to be obsessed, right? That's just the way success is built. But following those federal funds, I get it in a way, but right, like I try to give tactical advice to our listeners, and who knows, maybe they're going to also reach out to you because you can help them with the implementation. But what would that actually look like? Like you're going to follow the money that goes for where?
They'll have it earmarked for specific purposes. So like there may be grants out there for aged out foster care. There are definitely grants out there for affordable housing. The other thing, and this is where affordable housing is just where it starts with what I see, Doron. I see a whole ecosystem that, look, it just starts by getting a roof over somebody's head, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, wherever you go, psychology wise, like, oh, well, Maslow's whole thing's been thrown out or whatever, but people have basic needs. Starts with a roof over their head, right? Then it's if they didn't have a roof on their head, they probably have healthcare problems. So how do we go find grant dollars or agencies to come in while people are recovering or trying to get stable, that they don't have to fight with government healthcare type stuff? They have organizations that will come in like a nonprofit and help with more holistic type of health stuff, right? Not the standard, like, let's just medicate you to death. Like, let's get holistic healthcare.
Yeah, but you're specifically trying to solve affordable housing problem.
Step one.
Correct. Step one, but like you said, it's a basic necessity, right? I couldn't agree with you more. Having a roof above your head is a basic necessity. And it's really, really sad to see someone who serves this country being in the streets. Like for me, they should never, ever reach being in the street of the country that they served. Like it's just mind-blowing to me, right? So affordable housing, if you're going to try to follow grants, could be across the board, right? Not just specifically for veterans. So how can you quote unquote isolate the grants for affordable housing just for veterans?
So it's getting with the right organizations that put the grant together to where this is who this is for. So grant writing is an art, and we have people in the community that are very good at it. But it is, you have to be very specific. It's like a statement of work, right? If on your commercial jobs that you work, right? Like when you work with a subcontractor and you have your line items, this will be the work performed, blah, 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 blah. That's the same thing with grant writing. You're basically just writing a statement of work of how you envision and why you need that funds. It's a business case to whoever the grantors are of this is why I need your money. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know Luz is doing grants, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know anybody else that does like heavy grants. That's good stuff. And so you're in essence trying to almost intervene with the snowball effect of the issue before it becomes a problem by identifying, having a clear strategy to identify an affordable housing problem before it happens, and utilizing some of those funds through grant matching strategies to those veterans.
Correct. Well, yeah. and we're not trying to just isolate to veterans though, because there's so many other bigger problems too, right? No, I don't want to say bigger problems. Veterans is a huge problem, right? That just happens to be the community that Rachel and I came from, right? That's our community, so we have a heart for it. But we absolutely still have a heart for aged out foster kids. But we find the people in our community that have those hearts, like Vin and Michelle, that's their heart. So we're working with them on that, to see how we find those funds for the properties that they have for aged out foster kids. And then there's the people that want to help with the senior living, or the in-home healthcare. Like we're not just we're going to start in these areas that we have passion for, but we also recognize there's so many more dollars and there's people that have equal passion in their space that we want to be able to find all of the money. But I did want to say another thing that I see, and my background is strategy. I am a strategist by trade. That's I see things way out there and then I walk it down tactically of what we need to be prepared for. I'm sure you know of the silver tsunami, right? All of the baby boomers that are going to retire and shut down their businesses because they don't have anybody to turn it to. Cody Sanchez talks about it all the time. That's the other thing of why affordable housing is going to be needed. Because if we can't find these business owners that can't sell their businesses and keep it alive and they just shut the door, well, they just shut down employees who now no longer have a job. So it's not just about like, let's keep, those businesses like, oh, this is a great grab. I can get a established business and it's a beautiful thing. And I love that about our country. Like, yes, you could buy an existing business that's cash flowing net, 250 to, $500,000 a year. Like that would be life-changing for me right now if I did that. But what about the people that we can't catch and that just shut their doors, and they shut their doors on 25 employed citizens of our country? Well, then another business, now it's 50 now, and it just magnifies. So now when you talk about unemployment, we're also at a crucial influx in our country within the next 5 to 15 years. If we don't keep those small to medium businesses alive, we're going to have another problem with unemployment, which then is going to lead to them getting foreclosed on, kicked out of their houses, and ending up on the streets again. So and that's where I see like there's so many different things that we are in such an inflection in our country that so many people aren't talking about it. You said the two biggest problems we have in our country, Republicans and Democrats. They're just busy barking at each other and they're not thinking about, well, some of them are. I don't want to call them all out, right? Because it's not all absolutes. But overall, we have a very big problem on our hands. And I'm trying to think of ways to proactively get ahead of it. And so, but it takes a lot of people. It's going to take a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm with you. And it's at the end of the day, the politicizing of the issues that I'm aggravated by, right? Like if both parties looking at something that is a problem, you don't say, oh, the other side caused that problem and now it's hard for me to fix it because I'm in office. And it doesn't matter if it's now 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Again, you just got to look at the problem and want to solve it, right?
Yeah.
Because the problem is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have sides. It doesn't know left, rights. But at the end of the day, I think that we're trying to solve a lot of gaps that we know that are going to come, and almost like, inevitably they're going to some already here, some started, some are going to grow up, to be bigger. What gaps are you solving through leadership and team building and education?
So that's one of the things on the roadmap this year. So recently, 3 other Owners Club members and myself, we've just recently launched, follow me here, brand and marketing agency. I'm taking my background with PsyOp, understanding how to marry an identity to a target audience,
Yep.
right? Too many people in this world are just hype. They're just noise, right? And
Yep.
you said it yourself, you like real people, you like authenticity, so do I. And in fact, in branding, if you are disingenuous, it's going to be found out. And when it's found out, and this is my background in banking, understanding risk and the different levers and what you have to think about, reputational risk is huge. Because if you get found out that you were inauthentic in your brand and it spreads like wildfire, you're shut down. So connecting it to what your question was, we're trying to build authentic brands for people that connects to all their goals and all their dreams. But I want to do something similar with the people that are doing like what Rachel and I are doing, to get out there and get the message going, to start being able to find the right people that can have the influence to help overcome these issues that are coming, right? The people that have the heart, they have the resources, and they have the time. And that's really what, although I'm looking to make active income with this brand and marketing agency, the full suite agency, and I have a plan for that too, of how it goes into consultancy, full service consultancy suite. I'm putting this out there in the universe. I want this to become an agency, a full suite agency that's equivalent to the big 4, like Accenture, Deloitte, all of that, but a big 4 that focuses on the silver tsunami, so that all these new business owners that don't know what they're doing get the support of operators that already know how to run a business and go in and help consult them. They can help them with their brand and marketing strategy. They can help them with their operations management. They can help them set up their financial situations and their accountants and their entity structures. So that's what I want to do for active income, but also use it as my platform to be able to get the word out on all of these issues that we're trying to address. So again, I told you, I think in strategy, like I think up high level, but I also have gotten really good. I've learned on how to connect it at the ground level. I've got to find the people at the ground level to implement the strategy, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, we have that in common. I'm an analyst. I'm an analysis and strategic driven person. My wife told me the other day, how do you always find answers to all those questions?
Yeah.
And I have that in my blood, so I can value what you're saying, to know how much important that is, and to be open-minded to the fact that there's always a way. You just have to find it. Yep. Right? It's just being around the people that are open-minded enough to want to listen and not be fixated in their own way. And I call them negative people, because a positive person is trying to find the problem and find a solution, because everybody wants a problem, right? A negative one's too busy on why it's not going to work. So, I have a saying I tell my team: stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution, right? Yeah. So it's I think our biggest pet peeve when we try to strategize, finding those resources that can carry the strategy we're trying to mold together, sometimes is tricky. And I gave our listeners much more than they needed to know, but it's just, I also try to enjoy this podcast, not just, oh, you need to do A, B, C, D, right? Like, I think there's much more to a good podcast than that. So thank you for all that. How do you define success today?
How I define success, it really changes between who the person you're talking to, right? But I can tell you how I define getting to success. It's how I value my time. Anything I want to get involved in, one, do I have interest in it? Like, am I actually interested in the thing? Because if I'm not, then I'm not going to give my best effort, and it's not going to lead to success. I'm going to half-ass it and not get things done. The other one is, do I have the skill set to actually do that damn thing, right? And if I don't have the skill set, it doesn't mean I can't do it. I can hire somebody to do it for me if I know that it aligns to what's going to lead to success, right? Like, getting a brand and marketing agency off the ground from scratch. Like, my partners have experience in agencies before, but it's still, you have to get everything set up. And so you're doing intakes, you're trying to get business and all of that. And at the same time, you have to apply what the model you're building so you can deliver the product that you are telling your clients you're going to provide. Well, you don't have the time to do that. So you quickly have to go find other resources and build teams, right? So I may excel at it, but if I don't have the time to do it, I know what needs to be done, so I can then go find the right people to help get it done with me. And then again, will you find yourself fulfilled at the end of the day? If you deliver on the results that you said, and that's why I love the brand and marketing, because I want to tell people's real stories. I want them to shine. And that's where, even with everything we talked about, success is, it's only success if, like, you feel fulfilled at the end of the day. I absolutely want to build generational wealth for my family so we can continue to do good for this world. We have hearts of servants. That's why Rachel and I both served in the military. So yes, that's not off the table, right? It's okay to actually want to have generational wealth so you can do good later, right?
But
that's not necessarily success.
But like you said, I say that success without satisfaction is the ultimate failure.
Absolutely. Right?
Like,
absolutely.
Some of the most miserable people I know are wealthy. They have all this money. They're just not satisfied. They're not happy. They're miserable because there's no self-fulfillment. So, I personally feel that people are chasing the wrong thing. If they'll chase their passions and things that gets them passionate, and they can hopefully find something that they're actually good at. In that, triple down on it.
Yep.
And the money will follow that, because you're going to serve people right, because you're passionate about it, you're good at it, you're solving a problem. That's literally all it takes to make money. It's literally all it takes. Just serve people right by serving their problem. Cut the fluff, cut the BS, cut all the hype, cut everything in between what I just said, and all those negative stuff. And you're going to have money chase you. You don't chase the money. And I think that a part of my success is I don't chase opportunities. They come to me. It's like I look at opportunities like opportunities and money like butterflies, right? A lot of people chase butterflies. Yeah. I just make a really good garden, really nice garden, and the butterflies.
I love that. I absolutely love that. At the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to, and that's the type of people. Well, with what you just said, since standing up at Miami and saying, "Hey, I realize I have a skill set that a lot of you in this room need. I'm putting myself out there going into this next year. I've got pipeline already of people that want to use our services. Like, as soon as I get done, I have to work on a couple proposals that are going out this Saturday. We've already got a verbal acceptance of our first contract. So again, we're still building those. So I've got to get our payment systems up, and I've got to get bank. We got our bank account established yesterday, and we've got our CRM's up and running. So we're getting the system in place while taking on clients. And so it's a good problem to have, but that's what happened is I just put myself out there and said, I have these skills, and the people we want to work with at the end of the day, the ones that want to tell the truth about what they're building. That's important, because if they're passionate about it, and we can represent who they are and why they're passionate and connect it to what's going to drive revenue, we will help them build the systems that will support it with their brand connected to their audience. And so if we do an intake and somebody's not authentic, we're going to tell them, and we're going to say, we might not be the agency for you. We want to tell your story, why you're passionate, what you're trying to do, and what problems it's solving. That's the stories we want to tell through the clients that we serve. So it's exciting. It's exciting.
Yeah, it sounds like a great mission that you can align your life around. And people talk about, what's my mission, right? Like, your mission exists out there. You just got to align your life with it.
100%.
People are looking for, what's my purpose? What's my mission? Well, it's out there. You got to line up with it. If someone's already doing what you're meant to be doing, you just got to align your life around it. And if this is your calling, Mike, and Rachel's calling, you're just lining up with it, and you're serving your mission. So we're getting, past our time already because we're having too much fun. I'm going to do some rapid fire questions really quick, and we're going to do a closeout right after. So first thing coming into your mind when I ask you those questions, right? A lie investors tell themselves, in your opinion.
A lie that investors tell themselves? Oh, I'm going to be rich overnight. Like, if you got in the real estate game and thought you're going to be rich overnight, you're going to be disappointed.
Really? But that's what Instagram shows. No.
Inauthentic people, right? Like, that's the thing is, and I get it. Take action. And if you take action and you're in wholesaling and you get the right phone calls and you find the right buyers, like, yes, you can make a lot of money wholesaling really quickly. But if you don't put it into assets, you're going to get your ass taxed, and you're like bad that you're in. Most people don't know that. So it's a trap, because even if you thought, look how much money I made, and you didn't realize it puts you 2 tax brackets ahead of what you've ever experienced, you're effed.
One must have entrepreneurial skill, in your opinion.
They have to have their why locked down. They have to, it goes back to what we were just talking about. They need to know, am I passionate about it? Do I care about it? Will I excel at it? If you can answer those things and lock it down, it's also, you got to have KPIs in place. You got to have knowing what you're aiming for, right? A lot of entrepreneurs just go in and they spray and pray. Like, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Maybe, how about you get to know yourself first, know what you actually want to do, and then understand if you have the skill set to do it. Because I think a lot of people jump in and think they can do something and they're not skilled. It doesn't mean they can't get trained and learn that skill.
Right.
But they have to have the skills to execute on the thing they want to do.
Right. But what's the one must-have skill that entrepreneurial have to have?
Discipline.
That's fair. Best lesson from the military.
If your organization's success has to do with your presence being there, you're a weak leader.
Okay. In the business world, I have a saying that if you bought a business and you work in your business, you don't have the business, you have a job, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. So, book recommendation. You have any?
Ooh, I've got a lot.
One.
Okay. In the day and age that we're in with social media and all the fluff that's out there, there's a book called Like War, and it's the weaponization of social media. It is.
So scary, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What excites you most about the next 12 months?
how the year started and how it's going to end, because I'm moving ahead. I'm betting on myself finally, not
Yep.
trying to spin all the plates. I'm getting focused. I'm assembling with the right partners. We're moving
Yep.
forward. I'm taking ownership of my health. That's a big one. Corporate America.
Yep. I don't care how much money you have. If you don't have your health, bro, look at Steve Jobs. Look at Steve Jobs. Friggin', look at so many good, amazing entrepreneurs that shaped the reality we live in, right? I'm telling you, I'm here to tell you, your health is your wealth, and you need to find time for your health. If it's going to the gym, if it's working out, I don't care if you like it or not. Nobody cares. You got to worry about your health, because that is your true wealth. I love it. That's so good. And at the end of the day, guys, if you can't find an hour in your day for yourselves, even if you meditate, you hate going to the gym, and that calms your nervous system down and takes your blood pressure down. I don't care whatever thing you have, okay? If you can't find an hour for yourself in the day, you're doing something wrong.
Breath work and meditation right now, it's the first hour of my day.
Yeah, man, I love breath work. Yeah, thank you for reminding me that. Yeah, but all that work you're doing to succeed and to serve and all the things, you have to do you. You have to watch your health. So important. What excites you most about the 12-month I'm hearing is getting stuff done, going for your goals, attacking life. And I love it. I always advocate to people, attack life. Stop being controlled by the fear, the glass box you're in. Just attack life. I love it. So what's the best place for people to connect with you guys, to reach out to you, Mike, in your opinion?
Yeah, so there's two ways. You could go to our website, anchorandstaff.com, or you could email hello@anchorandstaff.com. And then that way we can get in touch through that and see how we can help you. Like if you have needs of our services and what we do, if you want to just talk with me and talk through strategy, because that's the other thing is like I can go in and hear people's pain points and put together a strategy to help them put the systems they need in place. I'm not your person that's going to build the tech itself, but I can think through where your bottlenecks are and help you organize so that you can focus on the things you need to. So again, I'm a strategist at heart, and I love thinking through all kinds of strategy. Maybe one time, Doron, we can talk about what I think about the opium wars in China and how what China is doing with the Belt and Road Initiative is similar to what happened to them back in the opium wars. That's a whole other topic, but and it actually is the stuff we're seeing with fentanyl and China supplying that stuff to us today. They're just reversed and engineered opium war against the United States and the Western world.
Any mission or project you want our listeners to know about?
The biggest one is what we're doing with the agency. Really, we have so many people in our community that don't know where to start with their brand and marketing strategy. And look, there's a ton of agencies out there, but because of the way I think analytically and strategically, whatever we design for you, it's been aligned to your audience, but it's also aligned to your revenue goals. So what's your revenue stack? What are your products and services you're actually selling? How are you positioning them? How are you marketing them through social media? What channels are you using? So we design the marketing execution plan so they're reaching the right brand persona, and we dial in the frequency of their execution so that we can drive. Like if you say I want to make $5 million this year, awesome. What's your plan to get there? What's your product stack? What's your revenue stack?
If you don't have a plan, it's wishful thinking.
100%. So
okay.
Marketing should do.
Yep. It's great, but where's your plan getting there? Oh, I don't have one. Oh, that's wishful thinking, my friend. People just thank you for saying that. That's good stuff. That's really good stuff. I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for maybe, hopefully, sparking some things in our listeners' brain, and whoever's going to get to listen to this very good podcast. At the end of the day, I truly believe in just being servant to needs, and that really advocates for good business, because when you're operating from a clean place, only clean things can come out of, and vice versa, right?
Yeah.
So thank you for coming, and I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, Doron, thanks again for having me, and just allowing me to just share who I am, what I've done, and have fantastic dialogue. I love talking different strategies and what helps people be successful, and that servant leadership, you display it. If I can leave with one funny statement, last year, Squad Up Summit, my first time being at one, you were on stage and you told the story of like, everybody congratulates you when you have your baby. They don't know how many times it took to get there, right? I text that into a group chat with people we thought we were going to partner with, that we were actually exiting that partnership. I put that very phrase you said, and Rachel's like, babe, that's to the, I was like, well, it's out there now.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Listen, people need to be upfront, and you being upfront can never harm you if you're surrounded by your people.
Yep.
And if it's harmful, then they weren't your people, so you're better off, if they got offended and walked away. I have a very different angle of life. Time is our most precious commodity, so I spend it very wisely on who I go with, and who I interact, and who I do business with, and who's in my team, and all, So thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate that, and it's
intentional. Really, you got a badass team, brother.
Yeah, I was literally on the phone today with someone discussing a $55 million project that I'm working on, saying the same exact thing, that my team doesn't stop amaze me, and their dedication and devotion for my personal success is just mind-blowing to me, and how fortunate I am to be able to have those type of people around me, and for God to surround me with those type of people, because it doesn't go without saying. Been in business for myself many times. I own companies, hundreds of people working for me, and I can tell you, it's very hard to find good people. The hardest thing in business is to find good people. It's not to make the money. It's not to bring the jobs. It's not to, to do anything. Is fairly simple. Finding the right people, the hardest thing. So I'm lucky. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much.